Thank you for tuning in to Entertain the Geeky, your source for nerd news.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jason back at you with more nerd news. So I'm joined tonight by Joe.
What's up, guys?
And we did a comprehensive kind of look back at the MCU in our breakdown of the phases of the last few episodes that we've done the last few weeks.
You know what was fun about that? I didn't realize it until after the last one, but we did like 3 weeks of that, and when we finished, there were 3 weeks until the movie.
That's true.
I didn't realize that until it was posted, but
that is true.
I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that works.
We're down to just 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to lose my mind about this.
Dude, I'm so stoked. Like,
it consumes my thoughts.
I didn't realize I could be this excited about a film. Like, I've only been this excited about Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I've got the same thing. It's a 10-year culmination of the saga.
We've been building to it for so long.
I got my Captain America gear to wear to the movie.
Yeah, I guess I have to dress up like poor man's Tony Stark. Was that our agreement?
Yeah, right. That was our agreement.
We came to an agreement that we were going to dress in costumes over an argument thread on Facebook.
Yeah, I will be hipster Cap. Steve Rogers.
And I'm going to be bum Tony, I guess.
Yeah, bum Tony, because you're not rich.
No, I'm not rich at all. And my beard is also way unkempt, and his is always so nice and kempt.
Yes, it is. Well, see, that'll allude to the fact that you're too poor to buy razors.
Right, hobo Tony Stark. All right. I'll have to get me one of those shirts with an arc reactor on it.
Yes, you are.
And I'll tear it a little bit to look like hobo Tony Stark.
Yes. Love it. Anyways,
we
digress.
Yes. But we did our breakdown on the movies and kind of what they mean for the coming finale. But as I was kind of going back and listening to those and thinking about maybe things we missed, I realized we didn't really talk too much about the Infinity Stones. I mean, we talked about their appearance when they popped up.
Yeah.
But we didn't really talk about that in regards to the implications it holds for the future.
Right.
So we're going to go through the 6 Infinity Stones, 5 of which we obviously are aware of within the movie universe now, and the 6th we still are not. So we'll get to some speculation on where that one could be a little later. But I want to start with the first one we were introduced to, and it was the Tesseract, which first popped up at the end of Thor in the post-credit scene. Yeah. Which built right into Captain America, the First Avenger, where it was pretty much the thing that drove that movie's plot. And one of the things I thought was really interesting always about the Tesseract, after finding out it was an Infinity Stone, is in the comics, the Tesseract and the Space Stone are separate things. They're not the same thing. So when going into the movie with that foreknowledge, the Tesseract is something that you don't even associate with the ultimate plan here.
Right.
And then when it's revealed that it actually is part of that ultimate plan, it was like a slap in the face to people who, like us, who have read the comics and know these things and understand these plot lines. And I think that is where it all started for me with a lot of things that they have done, loosely basing these stories on comic books, but still being able to surprise people who know the stories well.
Yeah, that was not a turn of events that I would have expected.
Yeah.
But I was super down for it because they've done a really good job of taking characters we love, but giving us a new quote-unquote ultimate universe, I want to say.
Yeah.
Where it's inspired by, but it's definitely its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason, I've never really been able to empathize with people who have complained about how it's not exactly like this story that it's loosely based on. It's a new world. Can you just enjoy it? Compartmentalization.
Well, right. And in all reality, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future of the comic world we got some kind of multiverse, because there's always multiverse stories. They do them all the time. It's always kind of the big thing that they do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the MCU is now its own multiverse within the reality of the Marvel Universe.
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee you in canon, it is.
Yeah.
I guarantee that.
And I hope that some writer, catches on that idea and does a series of comics based in the MCU. I think that'd be really fun.
Oh, I'm sure that's part of the upcoming plan for what do we do in Phase 4 after this Infinity War is over.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure we're going to get many more comics and other things that are in MCU specific canon.
Right. But the Tesseract, obviously, it's in the post credit scene of Thor, implying that Shield, showing us that Shield has it in their possession. And then we see kind of where it started with Captain America, and ultimately it makes a couple more of appearances because it is a big part of in the Avengers film, the first Avengers film.
Yeah, and that's Loki's whole plot is to get the Tesseract Well,
back.
take over Earth because Thanos is going to let him have it.
Right.
But he's required to bring the Tesseract back to Thanos.
Right, and the Mind Stone, which at the time we didn't know, but it was there.
Yeah.
In Loki's staff. We'll get to the Mind Stone in a minute.
And Thanos makes a bad decision about loaning the couple stones he has out because that doesn't go well for him.
No. But currently, in the aftermath of Thor Ragnarok, we do know that Loki got his hands on the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And trailers of the film definitely have shown, Thanos with the glove, and he has the Space Stone and the Power Stone. Those are the first two that he acquires.
Guaranteed Loki's trying to save his butt.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real reality, right? Like, he lent a stone to Loki to facilitate the gathering of another, and Loki failed.
Yeah.
And then, if we're looking at that from the perspective of Thanos being the biggest threat in the universe, the thing that all people fear, right? What that means is that everything Loki has done in the aftermath of Avengers was to hide himself from Thanos.
Absolutely.
Getting rid of Odin, taking control of the throne. He was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, no, it absolutely alludes to the one scene in Avengers where he's like communing with
the other.
Yeah, and he talks about how if you fail, there will be no place in the universe you can hide.
Yeah.
Like, he's been trying real hard.
Yeah, there will be no realm, no barren moon, no... what did he say? No realm, no barren moon, no crevice where he cannot find you.
Right. Yeah.
And so, if we look at Loki's motivation, yes, he kind of has his own thing going on and he has his own aspirations, but we can almost say that almost everything he's done has been in the pursuit of hiding himself from the gaze of Thanos.
And this is super going to be a moment, like, opening into Infinity War, I'm assuming opening moment, of, like, him being like, hey, I know it took longer than it meant to, but, like, here you go.
I took the long way around to get this to you, but here it is.
Yeah, it was kind of convoluted. I got lost a couple times. Here you go.
Right. So that begs the question, too, right? Does Thanos let Loki live?
I guarantee you he doesn't.
We haven't seen Loki in any of the other promotion for the film.
Right.
All we've seen of him in trailers is clearly the opening scene where he presents the Tesseract to Thanos. We've seen him held at laser point or spear point or whatever the weapons are that the Black Order uses,
right,
being held hostage by them. So that begs the question: is this going to be the end of Loki?
Right. No, I'm fairly certain, based on what we know of Thanos from the comics, like he's going to take the Tesseract, crush it to get the stone on the inside, put it in his glove, and then immediately murder him.
Yeah. I mean, that very well could be a possibility.
Yeah, which will be real sad, and Thor will hate every moment about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll make him real upset. But
but so, we were introduced to that's where we are with the Tesseract. I mean, Loki has it in his possession. What that means for his character is still yet to be seen. But the next stone that we were introduced to, and the stone that we were introduced to that actually first brought us this concept of Infinity Stones was the Ether.
Yeah, the first time those words got used on screen. At the end of Dark World.
Yeah, at the end of Thor the Dark World is where we first saw the Ether. Well, we saw the Ether in Thor the Dark World, but the end credits scene of the movie built into Guardians of the Galaxy while introducing us to the Collector.
Yeah.
And the thing that really, I was actually talking about this earlier with my wife, the thing that really kind of blows my mind about that scene is Guardians of the Galaxy chronologically takes place prior to the events of Thor the Dark World, right? Because if you look at the chronological nature of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point, Star-Lord leaving Earth goes 24 years later, or 26 years later, something like that, which puts it prior to the events of Avengers.
I could have swore it was longer than 26 years, but I haven't watched Guardians in a while.
And the only reason it's fresh in my mind is because I just watched them.
Right.
We're rewatching them all now in preparation for Infinity War. But, so, chronologically, when we see the Collector get the Ether, he actually this takes place after him getting the Power Stone.
Right.
So everyone was concerned when the Collector's atrium gets blown up. What happened to the Ether? Oh no.
Well,
he doesn't actually have it yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have it yet, and then the Power Stone's not there 5 seconds later.
Right. The Power Stone gets gone, which lends itself to the line he says, 1 down, 5 to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because he almost had his hands on one, but now it's in the possession of the Nova Corps. Right?
Yeah.
And we'll get to the Power Stone here in a minute. But the Ether is the Reality Stone.
Mm-hmm.
First popping up in Thor the Dark World, it was pretty much the driving MacGuffin behind that plot.
Yeah, it was the old power of the Dark Elves, and they were going to use it to turn the universe to darkness like it used to be.
Well, and recently watching that movie, the Dark Elf, it is implied definitely by Odin in the opening of that movie where he's telling the story of the past that the Dark Elves thought the ether was something that they created.
Yeah.
So for generations, they thought this was their power.
Yeah.
And when Odin tells the story of the ether later and starts talking about there are relics that predate the universe itself, was where, because we hadn't heard the words Infinity Stone yet, but when he started saying those words, right, relics that predate the universe, that's where your mind goes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God, predate the universe, that's Infinity Stones. Right?
It has to be.
It has to be.
That's your first thought if you know what an Infinity Stone is. It's
right.
like, that's what he's talking about.
But
for sure.
But yeah, if you didn't have that foreknowledge, you went through the movie and the ether was a thing and it gets taken and the Asgardians get their hands back on it. Mm-hmm. And then you get that post-credit scene and it's first uttered by Lady Sif, if I remember right, because he asks, why not keep it secure in your own vault?
Right.
And no, Lady Sif says the Tesseract is already on Asgard. And
Yeah.
Volstagg says it is not wise to keep two Infinity Stones so close together.
Right. So not only do we get the bomb of, like, these are Infinity Stones, that's what we're building up to, but, like, you also get the bomb of, the Tesseract was one of the stones this whole time.
Yes. Yeah, that was where we found out the Tesseract was a stone and found out that Infinity Stones were a thing.
Yep.
Which I guess, we'd already kind of assumed was coming because we knew Thanos was going to be a part of the story. He pops up at the end of Avengers.
Yeah.
But it was still finally cool to hear it confirmed.
Right.
And so the ether, if we're looking at that timeline, that he gets the ether after the events of Guardians of the Galaxy, presumably the ether is still in his possession. Because we don't know what happened to the Collector after those events.
Yeah, it's the last location where we saw it, so for all intents and purposes, we just kind of have to assume that's where it still is.
Right. So the Collector has the ether, and the question is, right, is the Collector an ally of Thanos? Does he have his own thoughts? Does he have his own desires from the infinity power? Could he even wield them?
I mean, could he wield them? I'll say probably, based on who and what he is.
Yeah, but they really haven't established what he is. We know in the comics that he's one of the ancients, that he's one of the oldest beings in the universe.
Right.
But they never established that within the reality of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Fair.
And his cousin, the Grand Master, who pops up in Thor Ragnarok, the only reason he's immortal is because time works differently on Sakaar.
This is fair.
He says that. He says, if this was any other planet, I'd be 300.
Right.
But
I mean, he might be able to wield them. I don't know that he's interested in the power so much as, like, he's just obsessed with owning everything. He's the universe's grand hoarder.
Yeah,
that's the word
hoarder.
I'm looking for.
He's a hoarder.
He's a grand hoarder. So I think he wants them as bad as Thanos does, but just so he has them.
Right. So the question then remains: does Benicio del Toro get a cameo in the upcoming film? Does he come back? Do we get a moment between him and the Collector where the Collector bows before Thanos because he's just afraid of the power that he wields?
Yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see him giving over the Infinity Stone.
Like, okay, don't kill me.
Like, if Thanos knows he has one and comes to collect it, like, he'll absolutely give it over and just come up with a plan to get them back later.
Right.
That's definitely his kind of deal.
So presumably, again, the ether is in the hands of the Collector.
Yeah. Then we have the Mind Stone.
Right. So I actually wrote these backwards, and I realized it after I wrote them. But the next stone we were introduced to was the Power Stone in Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy actually came before Avengers: Age of Ultron.
You're right.
So we go into Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that was the first time someone had explained the Infinity Stones from an audience perspective.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're sitting in the theater and you don't know what an Infinity Stone is.
Yeah, you've been introduced to this concept, wondering why.
Right.
Well, we get some exposition from the Collector.
Yeah.
When the Guardians show up to try to give it to him to get, 6 million credits or something like
4
that?
billion. 4 billion units.
Was it 4 billion units?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 billion units!
It was a lot.
Suck it up for one more night and you're rich.
Yeah. But, we finally get that exposition about, not where they came from, obviously, because, like, who knows. But,
well, I think there's
but what they are, what they can do.
He says where they come from, though. Like, he explains it in a strange way, but he says, before time itself, there were 6 singularities, and then the universe exploded into existence, and the remnants of these systems were forged into concentrated ingots.
That's fair.
Infinity Stones, right? So presumably, these powers shaped time and space.
Right.
They shaped reality as we know it. And then, when their work was done, they became little stones.
Yeah.
And
Which
were
still
scattered.
hold all the power
Right.
that they had.
So if you were unfamiliar with what the Infinity Stones were, that was definitely a good, kind of a good thing for a new audience member.
And now you knew how many there were, which
6.
is a big, important factor.
Absolutely. So yeah, we do get to see the Power Stone wielded within the film by Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
And the Power Stone, we had the Tesseract, which obviously can transport you to different parts of space. The Reality Stone can affect the laws of reality because they were going to use it to turn all of the universe into darkness.
Yeah.
So if we had to put a power on the Power Stone, its power is power.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is the one,
like an energy manifestation of like physical power at its ultimate peak.
Yeah.
You can destroy an entire planet just by like flexing real hard.
All organic matter is destroyed.
Yeah.
Which includes, but not limited to plant life, everything.
Right.
I mean, everything living on a surface. So the Power Stone, up to that point, looking at it and understanding that what it is and that it's an Infinity Stone, that was the first one we saw that was really scary in what it could do. Yeah. Right? The first two stones were pretty and their powers are interesting. They're fantastical. Yeah. But the Power Stone is dangerous. Right. All on its own.
Real dangerous.
Imagine uniting it with the others, but all on its own. It's powerful as heck.
Yeah.
But so, ultimately, Star-Lord wields it in the end and uses it to destroy Ronan the Accuser because he's part Celestial, which we got into in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Right.
We understood that Ego was his father. But so in the end, the stone ends up in the hands of the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So good place for it, right?
Yeah.
What that means, though...
A bunch of lawful good do-gooders.
Yes, they're space cops. Yeah. What that means, though, is the Nova Corps important, right? Because they possess the stone, they are for sure going to be a part of Infinity War because he has the Power Stone. We have seen that one in the glove. So at some point during the film, we have to see him lay waste to the Nova Corps headquarters and get the stone.
Absolutely.
That has to happen.
Yeah, it has to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
So, and some interesting speculation that I've been thinking about lately is, does that mean we finally get a Nova that's not a Nova Corps member, right? The Nova Corps gets completely decimated except for Rich Rider.
Right. Here's hoping.
Nova. Right?
Here's hoping.
Because before there was a Nova Corps, there was just Nova. And he was a man who got his powers from this magic space helmet that he wore. And then later it was retconned that the Nova Corps was like the Green Lantern Corps. They're universal space cops. Right? Yeah. They enforce the universal law. But this could be an interesting way to get that character into the story. And again, maybe he's not important to Infinity War, but maybe he's important enough to be a part of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Right? We're going to leave those things for James Gunn, who's doing a great job developing that world.
Yeah, But he can do his thing.
Having Thanos leaving Nova, leaving Xandar, where the Nova Corps is, and just having one Nova Corps member still alive, even if we don't see his face, is enough for fans to understand that's Rich Rider.
Yeah.
And then maybe, hopefully, we'll finally get Nathan Fillion into a movie, because I really think Nathan Fillion should be Rich Rider.
I mean, that'd be a real good casting.
James Gunn loves Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
They're like best buds.
They hang out.
I need Rich Rider. I need Nathan Fillion to be Rich Rider.
He's got to get back into shape a little.
See, but I'd be okay with that because look at the fact that their power comes from the thing that they wear doesn't mean they have to be Captain America. Look at Denarian Day.
I'm just basing that entirely on the idea that they'll absolutely throw a bunch of personal trainers at him and make him do it.
Probably. but again, look at Denarian Day, who's not a major part of the film, but he's played by John C. Reilly.
Yeah,
the guy's about as out of shape as you get.
Yeah, that's pretty true. And he's fantastic.
He is. He's a treasure. That man is fantastic at everything he does. I love him, and I hope he comes back. But so, ultimately the implication for Infinity War is that the Nova Corps are screwed.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
They're going to get decimated so that stone can get into
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And I love this idea that by the time he gets to Earth, he has these two stones, so that the opening of the movie, which the Russo brothers have promised us, is finally when we're going to get Thanos' story, right?
Right.
What do we really know about him? We really know nothing about Thanos at this point.
Yeah.
He's a megalomaniac. People fear him, and he's looking for some rocks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we need to develop him a little
purple guy in cool space armor that wants some really pretty rocks and has a glove to put them in.
Right. So I would imagine our prologue, is the Nova Corps getting decimated, because we see by the time he gets his hands on the Tesseract, he already has the Power Stone in the glove.
Yes.
So the Nova Corps, I think, is our prologue. I really do. I think that's our moment when we see this is what this Thanos now. He's had all these lackeys trying to get these things for him, and now you're dealing with him.
Surprised if like the movie opens up with like the Nova Corps already like dead and broken, and him just walking over their corpses,
or battle has already been drawn, right? Like we're coming in like a Star Wars movie, already into a big war that's going on Xandar between Thanos' forces and Nova.
Yeah,
that'd be a heck of a way to grab the audience, right there.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
This movie.
But anyways, after the Power Stone, Mind Stone.
Yeah, we get introduced to the Mind Stone, which honestly at this point that was another big shocker, right? That Loki's staff had an Infinity Stone in it. Was something that we didn't know. Yeah. It was just Loki's staff could control people's minds. It was magical.
But by this point, I think a fair amount of us assumed that
there was
it was
speculation.
There was definitely a lot of speculation about it after what had already been established up to this point. But yeah, getting it actually revealed, like, hey, the jewel's a casing and there's a rock in there. Oh no, it's another one of the Infinity Stones.
Well, and so we first, I guess I wrote this down because we first see the Mind Stone in Avengers.
Right.
We didn't know it was the Mind Stone.
Yeah, we don't know until Ultron.
But if you look at chronologically where this thing first showed up, it was the first Avengers film in Loki's staff.
Yeah.
But it is used to bring about what I think is one of the coolest things that they had done up to this point in bringing the Vision to life.
Oh, it was such a good moment.
Because it wasn't a CG thing. They actually put a man, Paul Bettany, the voice of Jarvis for so many years, finally put him on screen in makeup to make him look... And I think that was the way to go. And Joss Whedon argued this a lot because the people at Marvel at the time wanted to do CG Vision.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed more logical.
Right.
But he said, no, Vision is a synthetic life form, right?
Yeah.
He's organic and robotic.
We just put a man in makeup.
Right, so you need a presence. You need a physical presence.
It looks so good.
It does.
And I was also just real happy to get Paul Bettany like full on screen finally because I love that man.
Yeah, Jarvis has been great.
He's a great actor, and I was always just upset like that they picked him for Jarvis because that meant I was never going to see him. But then we got in this Vision.
Yeah.
So now I'm happy.
Well, and there was all kinds of speculation.
But now I'm also going to watch him die. If that rock comes out of his head, I doubt he lives through it.
See, I think he lives, right? Because
he might.
The consciousness that animates the body is Jarvis.
Right.
The power comes from the stone.
Right.
But
so
he's
like
Vision, but he's not
Vision.
Powerful anymore, right? He's just a normal guy, a synthetic life form.
But at the same time, like, I can't see Thanos, like, defeating him in combat, ripping it out of his head, and then leaving him alive. I don't see that happening. Like, that's my main thing. It's not that I don't think he can't live without it there. It's that I'm pretty sure Thanos is going to kill him and take it.
Right. But so within that movie, obviously, Ultron was trying to create a new version of himself.
Yeah,
right?
He was
a version
trying
of
to
himself
evolve.
that was completely evolved. That was the mixture of organic and inorganic material.
And let's use vibranium for it, because why not?
And the most versatile metal on Earth. That's one of my favorite jokes that he says in the movie, because the robot gets, kind of an imprint of Tony's personality. So it has a sense of humor, a dark, kind of sarcastic sense of humor, but it does.
And he's mad whenever you compare him to Tony.
Right.
Real mad.
And Dr. Cho, who's creating the body for him under mind control at the time, says, the vibranium is bonding with the tissue. It's strengthening the tissue. And he says the most versatile substance on the planet, and they used it to make a Frisbee.
Yeah.
And Captain America's shield is made entirely of vibranium. So, obviously we understand that the Mind Stone is there. Age of Ultron and Phase 2 in general, we talked about, had a hard job of trying to set up all of these things.
Yeah.
But so we do get some more information on Infinity Stones through Thor's vision in the reflecting pool, which had a deleted part of it that I think really should have been left in the movie.
Yeah.
Where he actually is speaking as the spirit of the Water Tribe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Water Tribe gives us... Yeah, the Water Tribe gives us information about Thanos and the Infinity Stones, the ultimate destruction of the universe. Right. But ultimately, we get to see that the stones up to that point that we knew of. Right?
Yeah.
So the Tesseract, the Ether, the Power Stone, and the Mind Stone.
Right.
And Thor has this... the gods of Asgard are ancient. They've lived long lives, thousands of years.
Yeah.
So they are aware of what these things are. Many of them probably have never seen one or held one in their hand, but they are aware of what they are. So Thor gets it in his head that something's going on.
Yeah.
And that he has to figure something out.
I believe he quote. Tell me if I'm wrong in the quote, but I believe he actually says 4 of them have cropped up in recent years. There's something going on.
Yeah, he says that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it is not a coincidence.
Someone is playing an intricate game and has made pawns of us all.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah. Man, if that doesn't harken to Thanos, I don't know what does.
Right. Like, if your first thought wasn't to the first time we saw his purple-ass face in the end of Avengers, like, you were doing something wrong.
Yeah. So, obviously, we know where the Power Stone is. The Power Stone's in Vision.
Yeah.
It's not, it's right there in plain sight. Or the Mind Stone. Yeah, sorry, the Power Stone. The Mind Stone's in the Vision. It's right there in plain sight.
Yeah.
And the implication that has on Infinity War is Vision's probably going to die.
Yep.
And they use Vision. They're using Vision. They're using Doctor Strange to lure Thanos to them, right?
For sure.
I mean, that's been established in the trailer with Tony's line of dialogue. We have what Thanos wants.
Yeah.
He's coming to us.
Yeah.
Right? So let's make our stand.
Right.
So again, does the Vision get to keep the stone for most of the movie? Is the acquisition of that stone pretty much what the plot of the film is?
Maybe.
Right? Because the other 2 stones are the time and the mind are on Earth. Right?
Yeah.
That's what he's coming to Earth for. These are where they are. This is where we got to go to get them.
Yeah.
And so, by the end of the film, because we're about to go into another one after this next year, by the end of the film, I would wager a guess that he's got all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't do this and not have him assemble them all at one point. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd imagine by the end of the film, we will, joining the Power Stone and the Space Stone, will be the Mind Stone and the Time Stone.
For sure.
Right there on the glove, which leaves just the Ether, the Reality Stone, and the Soul Stone. And we'll get into the Soul Stone here in a minute, but the next Infinity Stone that we saw came courtesy of Doctor Strange, which it was the Eye of Agamotto, which is a classic Doctor Strange thing. He wears it on his neck. It's a little magical bauble.
Yeah, it was another one that, like the Tesseract, like it was a thing, and we just, for the movies, turned it into an Infinity Stone. Right. Which, again, cool.
Yeah. And the Eye of Agamotto is something that he's used to travel through time in the comics. So it made sense, right?
Yeah, no.
It already had an established working
It absolutely
model.
works to take a stone that can absolutely reshape time and just stick it in there.
Yeah. And the Time Stone, I think this is the one that because the Mind Stone, we've talked about what the stones do. The Mind Stone obviously has the power to control people's minds. We saw Loki do it.
Yeah.
We saw Ultron do it.
Yeah.
That's what that stone does. But the Time Stone, literally can bend the laws of time.
Yeah.
And within Doctor Strange's movie, Mordo thought that was a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
And
no, he's super.
right.
He's super against anything that breaks the natural order, and he's
right.
not wrong.
Yeah,
he's not wrong.
Which is going to make him an awesome awesome antagonist one day.
Oh, he's going to be one of the most sympathetic villains of all time.
It really is. But so the Time Stone can literally manipulate the laws of time.
Yeah.
So
which it involves all sorts of rebuild a building, bring people back from the dead,
right?
So
the implication that the Time Stone has on the movie, while it might not have a direct influence on the events of Infinity War, it very much will have a direct influence on the events of the 4th Avengers film.
Yeah.
If only because we've seen versions of our favorite characters on set in their classic costumes.
Right.
So that implies time travel to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's going to be some time travel.
No, there probably will be. I mean, you can't involve a thing like the Time Stone and not have some sort of time travel going on.
Right. So we will revisit some classic moments.
Yeah.
Through the Time Stone.
No, there's going to be some goofy Back to the Future moments here.
I love it. I'm on board. I love time travel movies. So it makes its appearance. The Time Stone makes its appearance in Doctor Strange, and ultimately he uses it to defeat Dormammu and save the day, which I thought was great.
Yeah, no, that's better, honestly, in my opinion, than an all-out magic-y fist fight. The whole idea of giving him this loopy puzzle trap. That was great.
Doctor Strange wins with his brains, not his fists.
It's I know I can't beat him in a straight-on fight. I'm just going to have to goof him into losing.
Yep.
So he presents time to him. Yeah. A timeless dude having to deal with time.
Right. Yeah. Time is irrelevant in the dark dimension, but you introduce time into it, you start messing with all the inhabitants. Yeah. They don't understand this concept.
Yeah, Dormammu was real upset about that.
Well, he was also, the immediate reaction was confusion, which I love. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand time.
Yeah, he has no idea. Did we ever get an official count from anybody on how many times he killed Strange?
I'm
offhand?
sure there's an official count that exists. I don't know what it is.
I wonder if it's at least as long as like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it was. Dormammu doesn't. He
Give
doesn't
up easy.
strike me as the kind of guy who gives up easily, right?
Yeah.
So he just keeps killing him over and over
like,
again as a punishment to him.
If somebody says like, "Oh yeah, it lasted like 1,000 years," I would honestly, my response would be, "Only?
Right. That's not enough.
Only 1,000?"
Yeah, I can imagine it
Because
lasting.
if you want to
for
tell me like
millions of years.
150,000, I'll agree to that number.
Right, and the very idea of how the nature of the time stone means that as events continue to unfold in his own reality, it doesn't matter because he can always put himself right in that moment again and continue on from there.
Yeah.
Right? So the very nature of the time stone is a big convoluted mess.
Which is real fun to think about, like if somebody accidentally got like slapped hard enough to go through other dimensions and ended up in the dark dimension, like during the battle in Infinity War, like you could legit just keep watching Benedict Cumberbatch dying over and over in the background.
That would be really funny.
That would be hilarious. I need that to happen.
Yeah, that was a good one.
If that's not in the movie, and like Kevin Feige, you're listening, I need you to do some reshoots real quick.
Wow, man! If Kevin Feige's listening, if you're listening, you're a god, bro. Like,
I'm not going to go that far.
Dude, he's the architect of this.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
He's the mastermind of all of this.
He's doing a good job, and I'm real happy with his work. That doesn't make him, I don't know, Jesus?
I didn't say Jesus.
You
I said a god.
All right, fine. I bet Thor can still kick his butt. Anyway.
So, yes.
So all we have left is the Soul Stone.
Yeah, in the aftermath of Doctor Strange, obviously, he keeps the Time Stone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
its current
still locked in the
whereabouts,
chamber.
just like Vision, are with
On
Strange. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 stones on Earth. Real bad idea. Thank you for telling us, Volstagg.
Right. So yes, those are the 5 stones that we are aware of, and the big mystery stone still is the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Its first appearance and current whereabouts are still unknown.
Yeah.
There was speculation that it was going to be in Black Panther. Obviously, they went more with the vibranium side of things. They already had their own kind of thing going on in that movie.
And I mean, speaking of Kevin Feige, like, even he has said it's not there.
Right.
Like, to all the people who are like, okay, it's there, they just didn't show it. No, it's not.
Sure. Yeah.
And, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it wouldn't be the first time I've been lied to by an executive to mislead me. That's fine. I'm not going to be mad about that if it turns out it's there.
Right.
But, like, I'm currently just under the impression there is no stone in Wakanda.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
But yeah, and Wakanda's obviously where they make
honestly,
their stand.
Did we need a third one on Earth? Is that a smart idea?
I think the third one is on Earth still. I don't think it's anything that we can understand. I think we've come to understand that these things are baubles or these ancient items, and I think the Soul Stone is going to be not that.
No, absolutely, and I think like your best logic for that is look at the Reality Stone. Like it's this weird abstract thing. It's not in a stone until it's like captured, concentrated that way. Like it's normally this weird webby thing.
Well, and the Tesseract is like a big liquid. Cube. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean that's just a casing, like there was around the Mind Stone.
Right.
Like Cube doesn't. But
I think crush it.
And I'll agree with you though that like based on these ideas and what the Soul Stone is, like it's probably something much more metaphorical and abstract.
Yeah. There's been lots of theories. Prevailing theories are that it's a person.
Yeah.
There's someone within this story that represents the Soul Stone.
I know a lot of people have talked about it being Heimdall for various reasons.
Yeah,
like
Heimdall.
that would explain why he can see everybody. He's seeing their souls.
He sees souls. Yeah.
And like his eyes are the correct orange color for the Soul Stone. So like I get the theory.
Right.
I wouldn't be mad if that turned out to be the thing.
Yeah, and there's a theory that's popped up recently. We were talking about this earlier that Captain America is the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
That he is possessed of the Soul Stone.
Which would be really cool. And, I mean, metaphorically really makes sense because that would explain why he's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he is the epitome of lawful good.
Yeah. But then there's, a Prelude comic came out. We talked about this earlier, too, just, sitting in my living room. A Prelude comic came out from Marvel for Infinity War, and it has Wong and Strange discussing the reality or the Infinity Stones. Mm-hmm. And when he talks about the Soul Stone, he talks about how it's a power that is beyond comprehension. It is the greatest power in the universe.
Yeah.
And so there is, implication from that, if you look at the comic world, that it might be a planet.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the Soul Stone actually be large and represented in that way. before in the comics, even recently as far as Infinity Countdown goes, which is counting down to a big thing they're doing in the comics. The Soul Stone is currently a planet, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that could be a thing. What if it turns out all of Earth is the Soul Stone?
Sure.
And I mean, like, Thanos blows up the world.
He wants to destroy half of humanity.
I mean, yeah.
I kind of actually love that they're going with the half of the universe thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing from the Infinity War comics, the original Infinity War comics. He wanted to destroy half the universe and present their souls as a gift to Death.
Yes.
So that she would love him.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah. And the fact that they're going with
he's
he wants
the
to destroy
universe's
half the
worst
universe.
Romeo.
Yeah.
No,
it was
and
really
like,
kind of throwback.
What I love about that is like it reminds me so much of the original scene we saw him in Avengers, where the other is talking about to fight Earth is to court Death, and he just smirks about it like that's the plan, bro.
See, I don't think this late in the game though we're going to introduce the concept of Death as a physical entity.
I highly doubt it.
I think at the time they didn't really know where they were going to go with that,
right?
And so they made a little comic nod in the fact that he smiles at the sound of death.
But I mean, you can easily allude that to like Thanos just likes destroying things, so the idea of courting death is a challenge and fun for him,
right?
Like, there's no reason it can't be that, and I'm not happy. I'm like perfectly happy. It
seems. I mean, if we're looking at context clues, it seems like he wants to do this because he's come to this belief in his life that life threatens the galaxy, threatens the universe.
Yeah,
right.
So
he's trying to balance the universe again. Life has become too decadent and too big and too consuming, which I think is a good motivation as well. Because again, that adds this alien despot. That adds a little bit of sympathy to who he is.
Right.
Right. And I think sympathetic villains work. Right. Because if you can sympathize with the villain's plight, then you're gonna feel all the better when the heroes triumph over him.
Yeah.
Right. So. I really think that's, the Soul Stone might not even be introduced in this next film. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves.
I mean, there is a fourth Avengers movie that's already filmed that comes out next year that is not officially, but basically a part 2.
Right.
Like, they took away the idea of the part 1, part 2.
Well, because they don't like the idea of making one movie in 2 parts. They like the idea of making 2 movies.
Right. And I'm fine with that.
And they're separate movies.
And I'm fine with that. But, like, yeah, the Soul Stone could not show up in Infinity War the exact same way everybody expected it in Black Panther, and it didn't happen there either.
That's true.
And I'm not mad at that.
No.
Except, like, it kind of kills my original prediction for how the first of these 2 movies was going to go way back in the day. I originally had the idea of, like, what if the Mind Stone is the last one he collects at, like, the end of the film, right? Like, he kills Vision, collects it, and then, like, the movie just ends with him clicking his fingers. Yeah. And we know that is the moment that he just annihilated half the universe. Yeah. Like, I really wanted that as a comic fan because, like, we've gotten that moment before.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool. But, like, I'm pretty sure even all said and done at the end of this one in a couple weeks, like, the most he'll have is 4.
Right.
So, not going to happen.
Well, and the implication in the Russo brothers separating the part 1 and part 2 thing to begin with is indicative of the fact that this movie is going to have a solid first, second, and third act. It's going to be a standalone movie that works.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to build on that story in the next film.
Right. Like, we'll probably have a cliffhanger ending to build from. But we'll have a sustainable first, second, third act without getting just part of the story.
Right. I mean, I think you're probably right on the money that the ending is seeing Thanos having triumphed and has all the stones he was seeking in this narrative. And is that really a cliffhanger, or is that actually a good finale to a movie that you never had to watch a part 2 to?
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, that's fair.
If
like,
you can
could leave it there, like, the villain triumphed.
The villain he triumphed. He won.
Yeah.
It's over. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that, it's gimmicky that companies have done this where they've taken the last part of the story and split it into 2 films. They did it with Harry Potter. They did it with Hunger Games. I think that's gimmicky.
They did it with Breaking Dawn.
Sure. Yeah. The Twilight.
Yeah.
I didn't mention Twilight because I don't like Twilight.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm just trying to help you with examples.
Sure.
Excuse the heck out of me, bro.
But I like the idea of breaking that trend. I like that the Russo brothers are going to be the ones that are going to do that.
Yeah.
We are making 2 separate films.
Right.
Are they connected? Sure.
Absolutely.
Right? Are the same characters starring in both of them?
Absolutely.
Sure. but they are not the same. They are not This is not a continuation of this film. This is a new film that continues the story.
It is a sequel film.
Yeah, it's a sequel. Yeah.
It's a sequel, but instead of being a trilogy like most of these, it's just two, and that's fine.
I mean, Avengers: Infinity War does mark the third Avengers film, so in that regard, Avengers is a trilogy of films.
Yeah, but there's going to be a fourth Avengers movie,
true.
so
So
that
now it's a
automatically
quadrilogy.
makes it a quadrilogy or a saga, if you prefer.
A saga. There you go.
Yeah.
That Star Wars does that. I like that. A saga.
No, that before I learned the word quadrilogy as a child, like I always thought like it was a trilogy for 3, and if you moved on to 4 or 5, it was a saga.
All right.
Like that's how I thought
That was just
it
your childhood rationale.
Yeah, that was
All right.
what I thought when I was like 7.
But so we're all of these stones. We at least 5 of them. We know where they are. We know what's going to happen. We can have our speculation about where the Soul Stone is, but we don't have to speculate much longer. We only got 2 weeks until this movie comes out. If the Soul Stone doesn't make it into this film, we'll know for sure it's going to be the major plot device of the final film.
Right. Which I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm mad that I have to wait a year, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but you got to look at 2. In between, we got Deadpool 2, we got Solo, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, we got Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Which finally,
Yeah.
right, been waiting since they announced this to watch
Yeah.
this movie.
That teaser looked real good for it too.
Yeah, and using the scrolls and bringing back Coulson,
Mhm.
bringing back Ronan the Accuser and Korath, and doing the Kree Skrull War. It's great. This is all just what I've wanted so long. All of these big storylines. But
I guess I'll be back in 2 weeks
Yeah.
when we review Infinity War
Oh,
and
man.
spoilers.
yeah,
Spoilers.
there will be spoilers.
There will be lots of spoilers.
We
So
will
see the
do-
movie, then listen.
Right, we will. I will be doing that same week a spoiler-free typed review, a blog review that will go up on the blog over there at entertainthegeeky.com. So you can check that out too if you hadn't seen the film and kind of just get general impressions about what I thought. But yeah, that same week we will put up a spoilery review of the film that Joe's going to join me for. It's going to be our official start of season 3. It's a big deal. We're probably gonna talk way too long about it because that tends to be what we do.
I mean, we could yeah. Every time I come over to help you do an episode, we talk way too long.
Yeah, I mean the point is to keep it in the 30-minute range. We always go to 40 or 50. But
It happens.
all you guys listening out there,
Maybe
thanks
we
for
should just
sticking
do
with
like
us.
a 2-parter for it. Do like split
No.
the movie in half.
I will not split my review into 2 parts. I'm not doing that. That's not
fine.
going to happen.
That's fine. We'll just try to keep it under 55 minutes. Then.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it under an hour for you guys. That's going to bring us to the end of this episode, though. We got some interesting things coming up in the future. If you're local and you're aware of the miniature market that opened up out on Manchester right there at 270, we are going to be hosting an event there on May the 20th. We're going to do some demo gaming. So come in, try out some games before you buy. We're going to be demoing games that are on sale. And if you've not been out to Miniature Market and had a chance to check it out, their prices are insane.
That's a fantastic store.
It is a great store. I highly recommend it to listeners out there. If you've not checked it out, please go check it out. It's great. So we're going to be doing a demo event there on May the 20th. And then later this year, in probably early June, we are going to be launching the Kickstarter for Conniving Cooks. We are planning on doing an event the day we launch, also at Miniature Market, where we will have multiple copies of the game. You'll be able to come up, you'll be able to try it out, and if you like it, go over to the Kickstarter and check it out. Donate some money. We're really trying to get this off the ground. EG Games is something we're all very passionate about. We want to bring these products to you because we are really confident in them. If you like what we're putting down here, if you dig what we're doing, go over to entertainthegeeky.com. Check out the blog post. Both the shows are there. Matt and Jeff's Board Game Bros is there. They're funny guys, great guys. Listen to them. They're brothers. They talk about board games. pretty self-explanatory on that one. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentgeeky. If Twitter is more your social media speed, we're over there too at entertaingeeky. And if you'd like to chat about your theories about the Infinity Stones and any of the things we've talked about on this show tonight, or you just want to give me some feedback, shoot me an email at etgnerdnews@gmail.com. So we're going to see you guys next week. We're so close to Infinity War. Cannot wait. Really, really stoked. Thanks to Joe for coming on and being our aficionado on the Marvel Cinematic Universe these past few weeks.
I love being here.
All right, guys. Do me a favor. Stay geeky out there.